Howdy everyone. Okay, so yet again, I know it's been quite a while since I've made a video, so I figured I should probably do one just to get everybody caught up yet again. I would imagine by now the biggest question would be, why have I not put up a first flight video? So I'll get to that here in a minute. Let me get you guys caught up on some of the things that have been going on. Let's see, the last time that I made a video, I was talking about what? I don't remember. Probably, was I just talking about reassembly, simple things, fairings and things of that nature? That's all done. So the biggest thing was, well, a couple of big things. First of all, the last time I had flown was in 2020. So I haven't been in an airplane in over, probably about 5 years. I think it was October of 2020 was my last flight. So obviously before I get into my plane, I wanted to get back up to speed a little bit on tail wheel control, basically. I had done tail wheel training years ago when I first started my private pilot training. My first 15 hours were in a tail dragger airplane, and that was years ago. Never got the official endorsement, the official sign-off for tail wheel. But I did get 15 hours, and that was a long time ago. And then years later, I got my private pilot's license and haven't been in a tail dragger type airplane since. So I started doing some tail wheel training in a J4 Cub, and I'm still kind of doing that a little bit, and again, I'll get into all this here in a second. So I did some more tail wheel training just to kind of get, knock the rust off and kind of get a feel for, one, just being in a small airplane again, and to, like I said, work on tail wheel control. So I've been doing that, and plane related stuff would be a couple of things. One, I thought I had a fuel leak in both fuel tanks. Turned out that I had screwed the fuel drains into the bottom of each tank clean with no sealant, just hand tight. I basically just put them in place to keep the tanks from collecting dust and small critters and things like that while they sat out here in the shop. And then I figured out that that was not actually a leak. All I had to do was put some sealant on the threads and tighten them in. Fine, took care of that. But I did have a leak on the right tank. The little boss that the fuel drain screws into, that boss gets riveted to the bottom of the tank. And I had a very small leak around the one area of the perimeter of that boss. So I had to drain that tank. I let it air dry for a few days, and then I just smeared a little bit more sealant around the perimeter of that boss. I didn't de-rivet anything. I didn't drill anything out. I didn't have to open up the tank. I just put another bead of sealant around that, and that worked. Okay, fine. So then I start putting the wing fairings on, the pieces of aluminum that cover up the gap between the fuselage and the wing. And I noticed on the left tank, on the end of the wing, the end of the fuel tank that you have access to between it and the fuselage, that's where the access cover is to get into, if you need to do like fuel float work or whatever. Toward the front, a little bit more toward the front of that end wall, if you will, there was a small leak. So I went through the process again. I had to empty that tank. I let it dry out. At least I thought I let it dry out for a few days. And again, I just took some fuel tank sealant and kind of smushed it around where I thought the leak was coming from. Let it sit for a week. Don't know if that was long enough or not, but so while it was empty, I decided to go ahead and do my fuel float calibration. So I was adding fuel a gallon at a time, and I got it up to 17 gallons. I went through the process of doing the fuel flow calibration. I'm using a GRT EFIS, so I had the GRT step-by-step procedure to do the fuel flow calibration. And it was during that process. It was fine up to about 10, 12 gallons, somewhere in there. It was fine, but after that, the leak was back in the same spot. So I don't know if the fuel tank wasn't completely dry and there was still some residue fuel maybe getting in there that I didn't notice, and I tried to slop fuel tank sealant over top of it. I don't know. Or maybe I just didn't let the fuel tank sealant dry long enough. I let it sit for 7 days. Maybe I should have let it sit for 7 weeks. I don't know. It's a very small leak. Nothing ever manifests itself on the ground. It just kind of runs down that edge from the leading edge toward the aft edge. Again, this is an RV7, so it sits on the tail. So I just have a little blue streak that runs from the point of the leak aft, maybe about 4 inches, and that's about as far as it gets. It must evaporate before it can get any further, but it will sit for a day or so, and there's no evidence of a leak on the ground. You just see the blue. So for now, I'm not going to fool with it. I'm going to leave it like it is. I'm going to try to fly the airplane and keep an eye on it. I want to burn fuel off of that side mostly. Of course, I'll balance the tanks as best as I can during flight. But I'd like to get fuel out of that tank while I'm flying around doing my engine break-in, so I can yet again drain it and really let it dry and go through the procedure again. If the leak comes back a third time, then at that point I'm going to have to get into the tank and fix it. But I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. Another big item was my headphone jacks. So I understand, that there are LEMO airplane components, right? You can buy headsets with a LEMO connector, and you can have a LEMO connector in your airplane. That's what I wanted. But the aviation LEMO connectors are not actual LEMO connectors. We use LEMO connectors at work, and they're aluminum. They're all aluminum. You can get them in multiple configurations, multiple sizes. I'm not sure there's a piece of plastic in the unit. There might be inside where the pins are. There might be a plastic retainer, if you will. But those are actual, what I consider to be actual LEMO connectors. They're all aluminum. They're super nice. They're not these aviation LEMO connectors that we are probably all used to, the black plastic that come, pre-assembled on headsets or whatever. So I ended up getting an actual LEMO connector. It was very small, 6-pin, put it in the airplane, bought my headsets, took the plastic LEMO connectors off of the headsets and retrofitted them with my aluminum LEMO connectors, and everything worked fine. And that works great for my headset and my wife's headset. The issue is our headsets are not over the ear, they're in the ear, and of course we don't want anybody else sticking our headphones in their ears. So I would probably have to have some kind of an adapter, because most people that are going to get into the airplane are probably going to have standard GA headphone connectors, the 2 connectors that plug in. Of course, you can't find an aviation headset adapter with the type of LEMO plug that I used in my airplane. So I could either make up my own harness, my own adapter, or I could change the whole airplane setup. So I decided to change the whole airplane setup, because I figured every time going forward I bought a new headset or wanted someone to go fly with me, I would have to do some kind of jumping through hoops to get it to work. So I spent a couple of days pulling out my LEMO connectors, my LEMO jacks in the airplane. I pulled those out and bought actual, the black plastic aircraft type LEMO connectors. Put those in the airplane, and then I went back to our headsets, took off the LEMO connector, and reinstalled the plastic black LEMO connector that came on the headsets. Luckily, I had kept those when I had first done the LEMO change. The black connectors that came on the headphones, I actually kept them, which was great. So I got that all together. It seemed to work fine. So then I bought an aviation LEMO to general aviation adapter. So I can plug this adapter into my airplane LEMO connector, And then whoever I fly with, if they have your standard general aviation headphone connectors, those would plug into the adapter, fine. When I would plug the plugs into the adapter, everything went dead. The side of the airplane, if I plugged it into the passenger side headphones would not work, and the pilot side headphones would not work. If I unplugged it from the adapter, everything was fine. So I sent that adapter back, bought a new one. Now these are Amazon purchased adapters, like $30, right? You get what you pay for. Returned the one, got a free one, got another one in exchange. And I noticed when I went to plug it in, I heard my audio alerts going off because I have my EFIS on and I'm getting, you know, low oil pressure alert and whatever. So as I was inserting, the comm connector went in fine, the hearing headset earphone connector went in, and as I was inserting that, I heard the audible alarm, but when I fully inserted it, everything went dark, just like the other headset. Couldn't hear anything from either side. But if I pulled it back a little bit, then it worked just fine. But the problem was you pull it back a little bit so you can hear everything, but if you jostled it around long enough, the plug would fall out. So I'm at a crossroads there. I don't know if I should tear into it and see if I can figure out what the problem is and fix it, or if I should return it to Amazon and just spend the money and get an actual American-made adapter from Aircraft Spruce or Wix or whatever. So that's the airplane stuff. I wanted to get that stuff taken care of before first flight. I did do a governor adjustment. I may do a separate video on that, but I was not getting full RPM. Static RPM was about, what was it? It was really low. It was like 2,000, 2,100, something like that. And again, I had some procedures that came with my propeller, and I had some procedures that came with the governor, or I looked them up on the internet for the governor. I went through that process, determined very quickly that it was a governor issue, and I made a governor adjustment, and now I'm getting about 2,700 RPM is max RPM, redline RPM. Static, I'm getting 2580 to 2600. So that's good enough for now. I don't want to overshoot. I don't want to overspeed when I do my first takeoff or whatever. So I'm happy with it as it is. So those are the things that I've been fooling with. Those are some of the reasons why the plane has not flown yet. That is all taken care of. The only thing that I'm still kind of fooling with is the headset deal that I just explained. So on the non-aircraft side related stuff, after I got my airworthiness inspection, I was spending my time working on these airplane things mostly. But in the meantime, I've been trying to get insurance. So for me personally, it's been a little bit of a challenge because I'm a very low time pilot. Right now, I think I have 97 total hours of flight time. I have 19 hours of tailwheel training. So, you know, not really, but basically an unproven aircraft, an unproven engine, a very green novice pilot, and very little tailwheel flying. It's a challenge to get reasonable insurance. But I'm working with Gallagher Aviation. They've been great. They've been getting me quotes with different scenarios, you know, everything from full-on hull coverage, liability, you know, the whole enchilada, and then different hull values, no hull value at all, just liability from different companies. But the companies are very limited because a lot of them they're just not interested in amateur built aircraft. They're not interested in a low time pilot, low time tailwheel, brand new airplane that's never flown. So a lot of companies won't even look at me. But that's the non-airplane side of it. That's the other holdup. So I'm down to my last couple of quotes as of today. I have a couple more coming in. I haven't seen them yet, but I've been promised a couple more. And they're going to have stipulations. The couple that I have received, they specifically state that I need to have, 5 more hours of tailwheel training with a certified pilot. I've decided to fly with a buddy pilot, a safety pilot, whatever you want to call it, my first flight, actually my first handful of flights. And they have stipulations for that person as well. They have to have so many hours of total time, so many hours of tailwheel, whatever. So I'm working through that. So those different pieces put together, that is the story why almost a month after my airworthiness inspection, I have not taken flight. So as I sit in front of the camera right now, I'm waiting on insurance. That's the big thing. Once I get my insurance that I'm happy with, I'll bind it, and then I can go fly. I'd like to get this headset deal figured out so that myself and my buddy pilot, my safety pilot, whatever you want to call them, we need to communicate. We can communicate just fine without headsets at all, but I'd like to at least get that working. So insurance is number one. That should be figured out hopefully in a day or two. And this headset adapter thing. Those are the two main items. Once I get that figured out and the weather is decent, it's been 1,000,000 degrees and 1,000,000% humidity lately, so there hasn't been a lot of flying that I'm aware of anyway around my local airport. So I'll get these last couple of things figured out, and then first flight should be soon. I was really hoping first flight would be this month, July. There's only like a week, not even a week left in this month, so I don't think it's going to be this month, but I can very confidently say before the end of August, I should have first flight. So, and like I've said before, I'm going to be concentrating on first flight engine break-in stuff. I'm not going to concern myself with much else other than engine temperatures and, making sure big items are not falling off of the airplane. Other than that, I'm not going to concern myself with much else. So I'm not going to concern myself with mounting video cameras and, this and that and making a video. I don't have multiple video cameras. I don't want the distraction of constantly thinking about cameras and what are they filming, what are they not filming, whatever. So I'm probably not going to have any in-cockpit video. Just a heads up. But I'm sure I'm not going to have an audience on the ground as well. I'm just going to have required 1 or 2 people at the most. And they'll probably videotape taken off and maybe when I come back, but it's not going to be an exciting video, if you will. That first flight, if it exists at all, that video probably won't be very exciting. It's going to be great for me because I'm the one doing it, but I won't be videotaping. I don't believe. Okay, so that's a long-winded wrap-up on the current situation that I'm dealing with this airplane and just a couple more loose ends, and we're going to go flying. So that's it. So I appreciate your patience. I know this has been a very long-winded video. Not a lot of useful content, nothing to look at in the background other than this white wall. But I appreciate the patience. I appreciate you people checking in and, still maintaining some kind of an interest in my channel. So thank you very much. So until next time, I will talk to you guys later.